How do you think you have almost completed like almost 10 years now in the industry,
Yeah,
right?
8 years.
Like 8 years,
Yeah,
8 years in
yeah.
How has John the actor changed or evolved over those years when you look at your older
Right.
films?
I have improved with every film as an actor. I've done well in a lot of films as an actor. At the risk of sounding narcissistic, I have done great work in Water. In No Smoking, Though No One Understood It. New York was one of my better performances. But every time I do a film where I performed well, the trade always sits back and says, no, it's about the body. Let's see his next film now. There are two ways of looking at it. I don't get disheartened and I don't feel down when people say, oh, it's only his body and his face. I take it as a compliment. Great, it's a visual medium. You need to have a body. I'm not apologetic about it. But yes, I have an audience that goes and watches my film because after the first 5 minutes of your film, Koel, no good looking face or great body can hold a film for the next 2 hours.
They can get you in.
They can get you in,
Yeah.
but after that point of time, you need to take the film through. So I think it's important that, as far as I'm concerned, as an actor, you learn with every film and you try and perform better.
But the fact that the critics do not give you that sort of leeway in saying that, you know, fine, you've given as many hits as you've given, you know, flops. That they still don't acknowledge that John can deliver.
Yeah.
Does that not bug you anywhere?
No, I'll tell you what, critics over a period of time in the last 2 or 3 years, well, yeah, you're right, that used to happen. But in the last 2 or 3 years, you know, to be very fair to critics and to tell you the truth, they have been appreciating my performances. But unfortunately, when my performances have done well, my films haven't done well. So for me, it's a very catch-22 situation. When it's a commercial film where I'm looking good and I'm walking out of the water, you know, the films
is your tiny little yellow, okay, we're not going there.
So I have critics who say that, listen, like I remember one comment by a critic, he said, John sahi baki nahi. So there was praise for the performance, but unfortunately the film didn't do well. But the point is, there is going to be that section of the audience that feels that we as models, all models, can't deliver. And the point is to just take that constructively and just try and work harder and do better. So there's no sense of anger that I have inside of me saying, what the shit, what did they say? No. It's okay, no problem. I'll work harder, I'll do better.
You just talked about your modeling days.
Yeah.
Now, you started off as a model. You gained success very quickly. You know, you were an international successful model.
Yeah.
You were young, you were beautiful, you were coveted, you had big money suddenly. Was that like the glory days of your life? Like,
well,
did you really live it out?
When I got into modeling, yeah, it was amazing because not many people know, Koel, that I won Glad Rags in India. And I went for the international Glad Rags. That's the international manhunt.
You came second, right?
I came second there. But I bagged a lot of contracts there. I was casting. I was sent for casting in New York, in London. So I stayed back in New York. But those are crazy times because I remember once I went in New York, I stayed in the Village. And I got down and the Spanish guy hugged me and he had tears in his eyes. And he said, you come here every day, you have coffee with me. And I said, why? And he showed me a photograph of his younger brother. And I looked exactly like him. And he's saying, you remind me of my younger brother. And you won't believe, for 6 months, Koel, there, I had food and coffee on the house. And I enjoyed my time. So it was a great time, you know.
This is like a Bollywood film.
Totally.
Bichhda Hua, Hum Shakal, you know.
Yeah. So I had a great time during my modeling days and then came back to India, modeled for a bit and then Jism happened.